welcome back, everybody, as we've got some more Overwatch for you. And we are still here in the long haul for today, Rich Rad with Necra, as we are going to see Skyfoxes versus Dr. Phil Gaming.
Did you just say Skyfoxes?
I know.
Wow, what a treat. We're actually getting a chance to see some really incredible competition today, and Dr. Phil Gaming is going to give Skyfoxes a run for their money for sure. I mean, look at this incredible lineup on Dr. Phil Gaming. You've got Hard Blue, Silk Thread, Ace of Spades, Derek, Galid, oh my goodness, Red Shell, what?
I just have this constant need to say, the Ace of Spades! The Ace of Spades! For those Tony Hawk 3 players out there, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But, as we will go into this map, it's going to be Village first for Nepal, and I am just thrilled to see what kind of competition is going to happen between these two teams today.
Seeing fairly meta competition from both sides here. I don't expect that we're going to see, well, actually, never mind, it's Red Shell. I'll take that back. I'll talk about Skyfoxes then. This is a really meta composition for them, particularly on Village. I definitely expected to see the May here, but what Dr. Phil Gaming is running with Silk Thread on the Pharah, they're going to have to play this really slow. I expect that Skyfoxes is going to be able to take control of the point first, unless Dr. Phil Gaming is able to get a quick pick.
And with this push on the high ground, both teams looking to contest up top. A lot of mitigated damage here. The Storm Arrows coming out quickly to try and break it. The May Wall will get a nice separation on the team, allowing Skyfoxes to get an early advantage and look to force back Dr. Phil Gaming quickly.
They are going to force it that quickly, even forcing out the Valkyrie as well. Or not the Valkyrie, excuse me, the Resurrect as well. Oh, I'm just thinking about the old Mercy days. You know me.
It's okay. We all remember those days in the past, and especially with you being a Mercy main, it's always relevant. As we now see that percentage start to climb for Skyfoxes, a recontest not just close enough with the hamster in the back getting overwhelmed. Blue needed to be careful as you have that Pharah still dealing damage overhead.
Oh, let the record be known, by the way, Rich, that I play all support heroes, not just Mercy. Just want to make that very clear. Zenyatta is my favorite. Happy to see the Zenyatta getting a little bit of play here by Mudkip for sure. Definitely helped in taking out Hard Blue early on here in this fight.
Skyfox's Hanzo is just doing so much work, though, on this point. 28% in climbing. That Dragon Strike coming online, looking for the Pharah, picking him out of the sky. And Dr. Phil Gaming is really going to have to start regrouping and trying to get a little bit less stagger, especially with that Wrecking Ball being caught out.
Yeah, the Wrecking Ball, unfortunately getting caught out just a little bit here, but Hard Blue now switching over to a Sigma, a little bit more of a standard composition now coming out from Dr. Phil Gaming. But the Dragon Strike is going to deny a lot of the mobility right now from Dr. Phil Gaming to move in.
Yep, as they now move through the doorway, you see the contest. The amplification matrix is dropped for Skyfoxes, forcing every member of Dr. Phil back. Will take down the Ace of Spades. Salty getting the kill, 65%, starting to reach that potential last fight and really needed to manage these ults, especially with that May ultimate coming online.
Oh yeah, you've got the Blizzard, and there's no May on the side of Dr. Phil Gaming, so these fights have been a little decisive here for Skyfoxes, that Dr. Phil Gaming hasn't really been able to work up to any ultimates yet. They will have the Fair Barrage, so as long as that could take the team of Skyfoxes by surprise, then the Fair Barrage might be able to do enough to give Dr. Phil Gaming an opportunity to come back in here, and it might just do just that.
The res allowing the numbers advantage to go in favor of Dr. Phil, moving forward onto this point to try and collapse onto both of these tanks of the Baptiste as the Blizzard will be dropped, trying to counter it. Hard Blue, nice accretion though onto Crusade, no longer having that Baptiste as the 99% reaches its overtime. Quick exchange on this point, but the Supercharger still survives for a moment or so longer, with the Transcendence actually going to be committed to this. The regroup potential is there as Salty manages to get that Flux out onto a few members. Overtime starting to shred away. The Rocket's raining. Can anybody get back to this point quick enough to try and contest it? Rocket directed into the face of Mudkip as the res comes out, but no, it's going to be the takedown just before the action concurs, with now 99% to 0. Still having a chance to bring this even further. Dr. Phil not yet out of the fight, but it is starting to spell disaster as the remaining members of Skyfoxes get to the point with the amplification matrix and look to claim map 1 so far on Nepal.
Speedily even had to come back on the Doomfist, so you know how much Skyfoxes were reaching for that 100% mark. Dr. Phil Gaming, though, if they come out of the gates with the composition that they did on Village, maybe without the Pharah on the part of Nepal Sanctum, if they come out there, then that might actually be a little bit better in their favor for getting this round in their favor.
Very much agree. And now we're going to go to a brief pause here as it looks like there might be some internet issues to trying to correct that in the meantime. And as we go into this next one, again, that environmental space is very useful. And you see Blue just before we most likely cut away there, that there is the wrecking ball showing. And with this type of map itself, there's a lot of opportunity to get those potential kills with also Red Shell being on the Lucio. So much action. The Hull's coming out from Ace of Spades.
Yeah.
So I'm really looking to see if Dr. Phil can utilize this type of space that's available to try and take down Skyfoxes with those mechanics.
I'm looking forward to the environmental kills because that's really what thrives here on Nepal Sanctum. I mean, yeah, Blue, excellent wrecking ball player. I think we all know that at this point. So maybe you get a little couple of quick boops right off the side there. And then, of course, Ace of Spades, just a formidable tank player. Got the Brisiples right there for you as well. But I wouldn't count Skyfoxes out of this one either because they're Skyfoxes. They've been playing together for a long, long time, and they're already gearing up for the next season of Contenders. So you know that you're going to be seeing some good halts, good pulls, all of the above coming out from Skyfoxes too.
And, you know, like you were saying a little bit earlier as well, that this is an opportunity, you know, with tournaments like these to really start to test out the meta, go against alternative teams to really see where your strengths and weaknesses lie to transition into those type of Contenders plays moving forward into this potential new year. And, you know, with the two of them on this map, I'm really looking for maybe Dr. Phil Gaming to watch how the rotation is from Skyfoxes to get that opportunity of, you know, locking individuals down, the May, really utilizing that Blizzard. And I think that was what was really hard, too, for Dr. Phil to try and counteract because of that May play, which we did not see on Dr. Phil's side.
No, we haven't seen a May come out quite yet from there. But as long as we can get these internet issues fixed from Silk Thread, then we might actually be able to see them play more of this Tracer that they were hovering over. But I don't know. We're going to have to wait and see if they're able to come back.
Yeah, the disconnect's still lasting for a moment longer, so we will give them just a moment, and it looks like that we will go to just a brief 2-minute break to allow them to reconnect before this second map begins. Again, already in favor of Skyfoxes, so we'll be back in just a moment. Hello, everybody. We're back. Technical difficulties resolved. Connection active. Now we're going to go into this map where we're going to see Skyfoxes try to take this second map to claim this first control, or Dr. Phil Gaming able to turn it back around and bring it to a map 3. As we've got these few seconds to go, last final selections to see what the compositions are going to be out the doors.
Well, for Dr. Phil Gaming side, they're making a last-minute adjustment where Silk Thread's going to be playing the Hanzo instead of the Tracer that we saw them hover over before, and Derek now playing that McCree.
15 seconds until the control point becomes active. A lot of consistent fighting over that passageway to the right across the gap. Hanzo getting some decent damage from afar. Silk Thread, like you said, changing it up. The Wrecking Ball still being relevant, though, to find a nice displacement and knockback as speedily starts to drop down to the low ground, trying to make sure that there is point presence to take this first away from Dr. Phil Gaming, but the Lucio going to try and get it. Nice kill early onto Crusade, though, from Derek to pick him off. Even exchange, though, 1-for-1 as the Immortality Field still keeps a lot of members of Skyfox alive in that under corridor, but the numbers still leading to favor Skyfoxes with this dual barrier, trying to prevent anybody from sticking near the point. You have Silk Threads going down finally to this Hanzo v Hanzo battle, with it steadily going in favor of Skyfoxes now that there are too few from Dr. Phil to really contest this point.
Yeah, too few. They're going to be able to flip the point into Skyfox's favor, and Mudkip already has that amplification matrix, almost doubly outpacing the Baptiste that's coming in from Dr. Phil Gaming. So that's going to be a big one. And then, of course, for asking as well, 92% towards the Dragon Strike. Dragon Strike can do a lot to just make sure that Dr. Phil Gaming can't touch this point.
Ace of Spades looking to block a lot of damage as the Fortify is there, but the Accretion tends to land consistently with that regroup. In the backside, getting some nice separation. You've got that Blue in the back takedown by asking. Dragon Strike going to come through that choke point, getting a lot of value with so many members following up on the damage that could not get the follow-up. There's the asking conclusion to Derek as well with 40% and continuing to climb.
And now Skyfoxes has even more to rotate through. They still have the amplification matrix, but they've got the blizzard. They also have the gravitic flux. As long as something can get out of this one.
50% midway through. That amplification matrix is active to try and force the team away. Environmental kill potential still there, but Asking gets a great pick onto that immortality field, forcing that defensive security off of that back line. Mudkip now going to drop the amplification matrix, waiting for that to come to fruition, as Salty will bring multiple members high into the sky, landing at one specifically onto Ace of Spades, even though there's been a lot in Dr. Phil's favor. Running the clock now is this Lucio play. The Boop v Boop barely surviving, with Dr. Phil Gaming just seconds away from taking it, and will finally take it back.
This was a valiant effort by Dr. Phil Gaming to deny Skyfoxes the last fight territory, but Skyfoxes is coming back in with a blizzard, so this is still going to be a tough fight for Dr. Phil Gaming to keep control of this point. Supercharger, though, available. Seu is the high noon, and Derek is ready and waiting on the upper high ground in order to make sure that it's noon somewhere.
And that blizzard comes out. The high noon is active, looking to peer around this corner, getting the double onto Speedily and Crusade. Watching out for that accretion to come from the side. Salty wants to get some kill on the back line as the Dragon Strike comes out by Asking, gaining the triple to switch it around, surpassing the double that Derek got. Numbers now starting to escalate for Skyfox, taking it away and just about to pass 80%.
Skyfox is at the Supercharger, which will help them to maintain control of this point. Plus, they're going to have the sound barrier. Red Shell, though, coming back in. They might be able to use the sound barrier a little bit aggressively here, but it's going to come down to when those sound barriers are used and how they're used. It's a couple of questions.
Very much so, 95%. Here comes that Supercharger to lead into this final engage as the Dragon Strike goes into the side positioning, just going to miss the mark for that Supercharger and Immortality Field as Mudkip gets an early kill into Red Shell. Critical pick where that support now leaves only the Baptiste, but numbers advantage with Ace of Spades helping. Silk Thread gets some value, but the Flux able to get some damage, switching it away regardless of that take back for just a brief few seconds. The 99 goes back into favor of Skyfoxes. The Lucio trying to run the clock. Red Shell not going to last long. The Reinhardt charge to get close enough, but will not get to the point any sooner, as Dr. Phil Gaming cannot touch the point, with Skyfoxes claiming Nepal first.
Claiming the first map, a big confidence boost going into the rest of the series for sure. But Skyfoxes just looks like an absolute machine playing against Dr. Phil Gaming right now.
Look at that salty, lovely stone gathering. Play of the game. There's the double kill after the Flux becomes active. And honestly, just the amount of damage that the Sigma play can really put onto a team and just separate away without losing too much value of that just off positioning is quite substantial.
There were a couple of times where I thought Skyfoxes weren't going to be able to win out some of those fights, and little do we know, they ended up actually taking it back, like Asking's triple Dragon Strike. Oh my goodness, that was really a huge play to be made there, especially when Dr. Phil Gaming had the numbers advantage, but Skyfoxes were able to take it right back.
And honestly, and we were talking about it just a little bit earlier on the King's Row, where it was, you know, these DPS players have the ultimates. They're being quickly generated, but they don't have to gain as much of the kill participation and more just really using it for separation, for getting some taking damage, for others to execute on top of it. But both of these DPS players from either side have been really gaining a lot of value from their ultimate usage. It's been rare that we've seen so many stacked kills for a Dragon Strike like that in fights, along with the Deadeye as well, outside of, let's say, the 1-6 stack of kills with the Reaper and the Death Blossom.
Well, I think we're going to be going to a quick break here. We're going to be changing up the lobbies just a little bit. And when we come back, we're going to have more of this matchup between Skyfoxes and Dr. Phil Gaming.
Welcome back, friends, as we are now going into our next map, which is, once again, we get to see Watchpoint Gibraltar. Again, the map that we haven't gotten to see too much, but does still have a lot of variation pretty much from start to finish here, as we've already seen Skyfoxes claim the first map on Nepal, with Dr. Phil Gaming selecting this one specifically to hopefully change their opportunity of gaining a map point of their own.
they're looking for that map opportunity. They're looking for that map win to try to even up the score here. So I'm curious to see how they're going to really play this particular map of Gibraltar. But it doesn't surprise me, Derek, being such a prowess hit scam player, is going to be playing the Widowmaker.
And we saw a little bit of it earlier. We had some really great usage, specifically on this map, with just consistent sightlines, lots of rune being obtained. Silk Thread on this Hanzo has also been getting a lot of value, so between the two of them, this can be a force really to be reckoned with. And Skyfoxes, as they are on this defensive position, will look to have, you know, asking on the Widowmaker, the hit scan, and the damage boost by Mudkip. So that's going to be an extremely powerful defensive position near this water tower.
I highly agree with that. I mean, also speedily as well. Don't count those May Icicles out of this one yet, but already asking with a huge pick.
That damage boost is securing a kill regardless, as that numbers disadvantage for Dr. Phil Gaming has to wait for the respawn, getting the Lucio back in, only going to wear a few seconds off as the payload turns the corner. But really just looking to try and get under this car wash phase where Skyfoxes, I can guarantee you, are ready for that push. And another counter pick, asking, just getting so much value from this Widow.
Yeah, I mean, not only did they get a chance to pick off the Lucio, a huge part of that healing, but they're also picking off their counterpart as well. This might be a super tough fight, and they have a lot of information on the side of Skyfoxes about how Dr. Phil Gaming is going to be approaching this point.
Yeah, Infrared is giving so much here, as that team, Dr. Phil Gaming, has to play with patience until it fades. Finally does. And asking just being so mobile on this backline that nobody can really get any vision or damage to stop it, and another pick comes out onto Silk Thread.
Oh my goodness. This has been a tough position though, because Skyfoxes isn't taking too much damage, which means that Mudkip and Crusade can't build up to their support ultimates, whereas on Dr. Phil Gaming's side, we already see Baptiste with the amplification matrix.
Derek finally able to get the kill, but again, Mudkip right there pocketing that asking Widow play, which is just being still very on point. 2 minutes and 30 seconds, that payload just outside of the car wash, and this is a very difficult spot to try and contest moving forward because Dr. Phil Gaming has the disadvantage here.
Yeah, do you go under? Do you go above? Honestly, every single direction that Dr. Phil Gaming could come from, Skyfoxes is right there, making sure that Dr. Phil Gaming can't touch this cart and push the objective forward.
Silk Thread going down once again, trying to dodge the accretion, but gets picked off by asking. And again, there's so much focus just drawn away from asking that it's giving so much opportunity for these sightlines.
I am excited about what's coming up next for Dr. Phil Gaming, though. If they're able to get an opportunity, they can use this amplification matrix to push Skyfoxes back a little bit. But Skyfoxes is continuously setting the pace.
With that Widow on the high ground, though, trying to get that Widow v. Widow duel out of the way early. You see a rotation now from Dr. Phil Gaming. There's a pick onto Salty, which is a massive opportunity. That May wall going to be placed early to prevent any more shots. Silk Thread's taking out the Widow, asking no longer having that opportunity to push, as this payload will be finally gathered around by Dr. Phil Gaming to push through this underpass.
Oh, and Derek with another one, too. Yes, this card gets to push, but Dr. Phil Gaming, their spawns are a little bit far away, so we've got to be a little bit careful as Skyfoxes continues to come back in with reinforcements.
Ooh, and there was a huge pick by asking onto Derek with the respawn coming out. 60 seconds to go as this payload is a few meters still to go. Supercharger from Skyfoxes trying to secure this defensive hold to wear the clock down, as the Blizzard will isolate multiple members away from the payload to run that 45 seconds even longer. Dragon Strike by Silk Thread able to take one, and the consistent damage being forced out. The Mercy in the back, Mudkip no longer having the Valkyrie, completely capitalized on by the Hanzo play from Silk Thread. No support is there, but asking comes back quickly, and it's not going to matter. That harass on the back line allowed this checkpoint to be reached.
This checkpoint is going to get reached here, and now Dr. Phil Gaming, they have some momentum to work with. They've got the Gravitic Flux that's going to be coming in from Hard Blue. You also have the Supercharger, but I mean, really where the battles have been has been between these DPS, particularly the Widow v. Widow duel. It's been so important because not only can you just delete the other team's shield potential, but you're also just deleting their ability to click heads.
Harblue with the flux overhead, allowing the sideline to become available for Derek now to accelerate forward with this Widow play, finding multiple shots. Silk Thread to get the damage out as well, hoping to try and pick off this last remaining member, Salty, in the back line. Able to do so with the Lucio follow-up, and Derek taking down Asking, and this is now a huge momentum shift, allowing Dr. Phil Gaming to get into this last checkpoint.
Oh, and you also have early spawns, so Skyfoxes have to just take the L off the edge here and regroup in order to really bring themselves back into this fight. Skyfoxes hasn't had a chance to set up since they've been dislodged from point A, which has been a problem for them. Dr. Phil Gaming has been able to utilize this momentum and the space that takes are creating to continue to allow Derek to pop off.
Now with this presence in the back, Derek getting a lot of value. Infra site just about to go down, as Speedily will take a DPS line out. The reset coming up with the infra of their own for Skyfoxes. A lot of damage mitigated. Immortality field coming out, and Derek picking off Speedily will lead into this opportunity, but the Widow v Widow still not out of it yet. Salty trying to get some damage onto those Lucio's players, but can't seem to do anything about it. And another counter pick onto Asking. Derek just popping off towards the end of this, with despite how little health is available. And a reset finally comes through for Skyfoxes.
I wouldn't want to see Dr. Phil Gaming try to push on that, though, just because of how close the respawns are. Skyfoxes will be able to get back into this fight with 6, and they're going to be coming in with some tools of their own. I see this being a little bit of a rotation here coming in from Dr. Phil Gaming. Derek might need to switch over to something else if they don't have the point presence.
Boosted damage from the Supercharger around the corner as the Immortality field allows the opportunity to survive through any sort of incoming damage, and Asking in an advantageous position. Going to use it as the reset with 2 minutes to go. It'll be curious, like you said, if Derek's going to continue to stick on this or the Whittle duel continues.
Widow duel is going to continue for now. Derek breaking up to those infra sites will help to give Dr. Phil Gaming just a little bit of information, but they can basically see where all these shots are coming from.
Dragon Strike on the front, not going to gain much value. Again, Immortality Field actively responding as Asking still finds the shots necessary to cause a lot of harass. Derek in the back using that infra, trying to get some contestable presence, but can't do so because of these respawns consistently coming out for Dr. Phil Gaming, as Skyfoxes holds this corner beautifully.
Skyfoxes is going to hold this corner, but Dr. Phil Gaming got the go signal, but it's going to be into the Gravitic.
Now with the Lucio sound barrier to try and survive the Blizzard immediately after. So much damage coming onto the team of Dr. Phil. As a great presence on the front. Transcendence going to be committed to this. Crusade holding back on the amplification matrix, which is really critical to carry over into this last fight.
It is super critical. You need to have some tools of the trade in order to push this cart forward. But as it stands, Skyfoxes is doing such a good job of checking and balancing the team of Dr. Phil Gaming, where they have these long sight lines that they're taking full advantage of with Asking on the Widowmaker and Speedily on the May. These icicles are doing almost just as much damage.
40 seconds to go. That damage now boosted for Skyfoxes. The Widow duel still commencing, but Mudkip gets an early pick with this Zenyatta taking down Harblue. Now, as there's 25 seconds to go, this will be the last chance for Skyfoxes to hold this team of Dr. Phil Gaming back.
It's so close. Dr. Phil Gaming has 15 seconds left, and they have been able to execute a lot of patience with their ultimates, so they might be able to win the all-out ultimate duel, but they have to use their ultimates first.
Now, Silk Thread having the Dragon Strike, going to try and lead with it after Ace of Spades drops it with the Amplification Matrix out on the front side. Needs to get a lot of value with these ultimates being committed. In the backside, getting a chance to take down a few members, but the survival is there. The Cryo Freeze active, but Silk Thread still persevering with that kill onto the Orisa. Overtime commencing. Flux on the front, trying to get an opportunity to bring down multiple members. Does get it. Salty with the double. Collapsing onto the Baptiste as the Discord will be up front. Huge pickup, and there's the push back on the payload as Dr. Phil Gaming will not be able to reach that rocket ship.
Yeah, but they made a formidable push, Rich Rad. So Dr. Phil Gaming, they've got a leg in this matchup. I mean, it's very common to see teams just get stopped at that first point. So we'll see if Dr. Phil Gaming can dish back a little bit of that medicine to Skyfoxes.
I very much hope to see it. And again, with these two Widows going back and forth in that first initial point, I think those are going to be the ones that define how this defense is going to be held. And it was very lengthy for asking to keep Derek back on the attack. If Derek can do the same thing to from Dr. Phil Gaming onto Skyfoxes and run the clock, it's a good opportunity to do just as much damage to prevent Skyfoxes from getting to that golden box of victory.
There's definitely a lot here. Derek has a tall order, though. Asking is, you know, they're going toe-to-toe right now. Derek sometimes wins the 1v1s, but sometimes Asking is also winning them. So this is still a tall order for Dr. Phil Gaming, but I have a lot of faith that with the setup that they have here, especially because they can set up that crossfire with Silk Thread on the Hanzo, they absolutely can then do the same amount of damage to Skyfoxes is what they dish to them.
And you're seeing the difference now from Red Shell going from the Lucio onto the Mercy to have that pumped damage along with pumped healing versus more of the utility factor of the mobility from the Lucio we saw prior. And on this defensive side, I like that selection going into this to try and help enforce how much presence both Silk Thread and Derek can be, especially with that damage boost.
Damage boost really potent here. I like that both Red Shell and Mudkip are running the Mercies right now. And they also have the Baptiste. We talked about Baptiste being such a necessary part of not only doing the damage on the team, but also just healing up all the tank line.
Forcing out the res early, Asking getting back online again, already getting the early advantage, looking for a second pick. But Asking going to reposition. That aerial grapple shot is very necessary to lead into this, but leaves yourself vulnerable when airborne. As the payload now transitions underneath, the separation in the back line. Derek getting another pick onto Asking, constantly looking for it with that damage boost, able to do so as the payload now is no longer the focus. The high ground is actually the attention giver, with Skyfoxes moving to collapse down, reconvening with that payload.
It's so fun watching Skyfoxes move as a team. They just move as a complete unit, and it's like they're just a well-oiled machine. So that's been really fun to watch. Dr. Phil Gaming, though, has to give up a little bit of the space here in order to come back and contest his 6.
Yep, this now just over 2 meters remaining. Asking getting a great shot on the back with now the Immortality Field going down. Trades back and forth. Asking now starting to get the better of the trade on the high ground, and Derek getting brought down. With 5 minutes and 12 seconds still to go, the Orisa eliminated from the spawn, which will give some more staggered time pushing into this garage.
Couple of staggers coming in now. But Dr. Phil Gaming, they're taking their time, they're regrouping, but Asking, once again.
No one can hide.
It's, regardless of this ping, Asking still making sure to show some dominance as the amplification matrix comes out. Red Shell has to force the res to try and keep Derek alive to compete against this infra site that is now on both sides. Who can gain the early pick? But now the focus dropping to these tank lines. Ace of Spades getting picked out on the front side, very low, almost being brought down. Cryo Freeze going to be active on the payload, though, as it still continues to move forward here.
Oh, I want to see Dr. Phil Gaming fight as a more complete unit. It just looks like they're losing some of the 1v1s that are happening.
Now Asking getting the double. Both the Derek and Red Shell brought out of the fight early, no longer having that Mercy to fuel the healing. Reaching this checkpoint and having 5 minutes and 43 seconds. This looks very dire for Dr. Phil Gaming, but now you see the resets coming out. An opportunity is really important to play this corner just like Skyfoxes did.
Skyfoxes played this corner really well, but Dr. Phil Gaming, they're still without their Mercy for the time being, has to walk out of that spawn, and you can see Derek going back in to be able to taxi for just a little bit here, but the golden rectangle of victory is so close for Skyfoxes.
Now with the Flux activated in the back, trying to find a good chance to use it, only gaining 1. The Cryo Freeze activated to immediately evade that fall. With Asking having vision, getting some intel, which is critical to try and get this corner. The pick in the back potential is very, very high, but Ace of Spades dropping the Supercharger, allowing some extra boost of damage, but it's not going to matter. Ace of Spades brought down by Asking, and a Supercharger now in return coming out from the Orisa from Skyfoxes. Turning this opportunity, last few meters to go, trying to complete it. Will Dr. Phil Gaming get back in time?
Oh, Derek though. Derek with a huge pick. This could actually stabilize the defense here.
On the high ground, still looking to try and collapse, getting the pick onto the Mercy, manages to do so. Here comes Asking, trying to counter it with it, going to get the pick onto Derek, regardless of the reduction in health. Chances still available, 4 meters remaining. Dr. Phil Gaming regrouping with the spawn advantage, a huge distance to cover from Skyfoxes to touch this payload, and there is still 4 meters to go, but Dr. Phil Gaming really needs this regroup.
Oh, they're getting the regroup though, and they're playing so much better as a unit. Dr. Phil Gaming is going to have the Gravitic Flux online really soon here, as long as they can mitigate the damage coming in for the Amplification Matrix, or a Silk Thread just gets a huge pick, then this could be the stabilization that Dr. Phil Gaming is looking for.
Rez coming out as Derek gets a kill onto Asking, trying to just get this momentum ceased. And it might just happen, but speedily with this Blizzard is the win condition.
Silk Thread worked up to the second Dragon Strike so quickly. I think we must have both missed it, but Salty ate the first one that we saw come out here, and now Silk Thread is just going absolutely ham with their DPS partner in Derek to check and balance Skyfoxes now this time. They got the straightaways to their advantage now on Dr. Phil Gaming, and they're taking full advantage.
3 minutes and 20 seconds, though, is still a lot of time to work with, regardless of the advantage. So we'll see how this moves forward. Crusade nearing that amplification matrix, going to drop it here once they move out to the front side as speedily drops the Blizzard. Gets rid of one, looking for the follow-up as multiple members are locked down on the point. Asking with the double, saying if you can keep them still, I can click the heads as these meters continue to reduce. Ace of Spades with that supercharger, needing to use an amplification matrix onto the payload to continue keeping it moving forward, as it's just under 1 meter. No one gonna touch it, and that will be it. Skyfoxes claiming victory on the second map over Dr. Phil Gaming.
That was a close one, but Skyfoxes coming out on top. Now we have a choice of our hybrid, but I gotta see from the first person perspective.
We've got that snipe right into the Blizzard. You can stand still and pull them close, and I've got the damage for you, friends, as Asking, regardless of the ping, has still demonstrated some great Widow-making play. 55% scope accuracy. But again, Derek still being a worthy adversary here to really prevent this team from taking it so easily, as we will have to go into a third map, which will, again, be a selection between a hybrid map. We've seen a lot of Kings Row, a little bit of Hollywood in the past, the week prior. Curious to see if we keep the consistency in Kings Row, but before we have that final selection, we will go to a brief break to let these teams regroup. Hello and welcome back, friends, as we have seen it once, twice, 3, really have no many more times to know that we're going to see Kings Row again. As these two teams are going to go head-to-head. Again, we've already seen Skyfoxes claiming 2 over Dr. Phil Gaming. But with this Kings Row map and how Dr. Phil Gaming has really started to increase their gameplay presence, their strategy, communications, utilizing of this Widow to try and counter the way that Skyfoxes has been playing, could really use this map to start turning it back over and could see a reverse sweep. It's never out of the question, friends. And Necra, as we go into Kings Row, what would you think Dr. Phil Gaming could do to be able to take this map over Skyfoxes?
Skyfoxes, again, has been playing like such a unit where I think that the fact that they have a lot of long history of playing together is really working in their favor for this particular matchup. Dr. Phil Gaming is a team of players that are very good mechanically, but they haven't had the same amount of practice as a team like Skyfoxes has had. So you could kind of see the differences there. I just want to see Dr. Phil Gaming maybe stop taking some of these 1v1s and just focus on the ground game. Because if they can win over the ground game and focus on just the proper mechanics of play, I have a feeling that Dr. Phil Gaming is going to be able to come back and take that reverse sweep. But as it stands right now, Skyfoxes is a formidable foe to be reckoned with, and we're seeing Dr. Phil Gaming just struggle a little bit in that matchup.
I really agree with that. It's causing, I think, not dysfunction, but just a disconnect, like you're saying, just to really be as a unit to claim advantage on that ground game. And this is a map where it can really speak volumes, as we will have Dr. Phil Gaming on the attack first here versus Skyfoxes. And with Skyfoxes being on the defense, we will most likely see some really great coordination between this team. We've noticed it multiple times, and how Dr. Phil Gaming goes into this first point is going to be really critical, because I think Dr. Phil Gaming had a better play style leading with the escort versus in this one. Now they're going to have to try and capture this point first, which was not so easy against Skyfoxes on the control point, which we saw earlier on Nepal.
Dr. Phil Gaming was swinging with the momentum in that match where if they got the ball rolling, then they got the ball rolling. But as soon as Skyfox is able to put a little bit of a dent into their plans, the whole game plan fell apart. So as long as Dr. Phil Gaming can kind of continue to remind themselves, hey, we got this. We are strong players. We can really go toe-to-toe with Skyfoxes and take a couple of those deep breaths and regroup. They should be able to take these maps. But I want to talk about Skyfox's defense. We're seeing like the tried and true for them, asking on the Hanzo, speedily on the Mei. I mean, this is just proper team play coming in from Skyfoxes, where looks like Dr. Phil Gaming might be trying to get a little bit of a one-up on them. We've seen this before, and Skyfoxes isn't ready.
I've had this grin on my face the entire time once I saw Silk Threads with that Bastion selected as Derek goes on to the Symmetra, and I am so looking forward to seeing how this is going to work. Already up top, there's the teleporter. The halt going to come out just before the sentry mode. Cannot get it, as those turrets will be easily deleted. A great pickup. Ace of Spades going down, Crusade taking the kill, and just completely shutting down that initial encounter, and you're going to see Dr. Phil Gaming completely bail on that tactic and go back to their standard with a little bit of a change-up.
A little bit of a change-up, but Skyfoxes wasn't ready. Rich, they were ready. They saw that Bastion teleporter, and immediate, they're like, I don't think so. This is twice now that we've seen this really just not work in this situation, but Dr. Phil Gaming, now they've made some additional swap-ups here. Silk Thread going over to the Pharah, and I think the Pharah is a perfect counter to what Skyfoxes is running.
It's going to draw a lot of attention away from not only the Baptiste, but also Derek on the Hanzo, which is really what would be great to use. It's now going to be Crusade leading with that amplification matrix, getting a lot of damage through that window pane to make sure that they can pick off that Pharah on the high ground, but it's being very difficult. Silk Threads being hyper-focused, but Derek actually going to get a takedown onto Asking, which opens up an opportunity. The follow-up with the Storm Arrows onto the support speedily. Trying to contest back, has the Blizzard, but now going to be used in the hotel, locking down the support, will be taken down. Red Shell can't survive. The Fortify still active to take out speedily. And now, with 2 minutes and 20 seconds, you see Dr. Phil Gaming really capitalizing on this point.
Oh, they're capitalizing on the point, but Skyfoxes just got so much time off of the clock here, and oh my goodness, Asking actually just sniping Silk Thread out of the skies here. This is going to even the playing field for when Skyfoxes decides to make their comeback. But as it stands, Dr. Phil Gaming is using this opportunity to get aggressive here and just ensure that Skyfoxes really can't come back in and have a safe leg to stand on for this recontest.
And you see Salty playing hesitantly until the remaining members of the team get back, trying to mitigate the damage. But in doing so, you have Dr. Phil Gaming generating some ult charge to try and transition through this payload phase in the streets around this bookstore, as the aggression now can start pushing forward from Skyfoxes to look for a potential pick. But the Dragon Strike actually going to come out, really forcing back the team of Skyfoxes. And Derek showing some great Hanzo play, even with the regroup by Skyfoxes.
Momentum, momentum, momentum. We called it out, Rich, but this is Dr. Phil Gaming's specialty. Once they get the cart rolling, it's not going to stop until Skyfox is completely overwhelmed with their ultimates. This is going to be a huge ult battle here on the second point, because Skyfoxes is making a gun for the second point. They want to come back and recontest with the 4 ultimates that they have ready. But Dr. Phil Gaming's opened things up first.
Gunning it indeed, with both fluxes being activated. The cryo freeze coming out by Speedily, trying to survive that impact damage from the ground. Just under 2 meters, the supercharger is there, Asking, finding an opportunity to start shutting down members of Dr. Phil Gaming, as the Transcendence has to be used by Mudkip to secure this payload. No longer going to be moving forward, but a supercharger coming out by Ace of Spades might allow Silk Threads to potentially use the follow-up on the rocket barrage, but will not be needed. There is far too much damage on this payload. Salty, the last remaining member, ceased to stand on those lovely shoeless feet, and now have 4 minutes and 15 seconds to push to this tail end of the King's Row map.
No defensive ultimate for Dr. Phil Gaming, so the Blizzard from Speedily on Skyfoxes is going to hit hard, but Asking's hitting harder.
Now the Dragon Strike comes through. Asking definitely getting some major value for this defensive position, turning the corner, looking for another. Will reset Dr. Phil Gaming, but there is still a lot of time to work with to reach this ending point.
A lot of time to work with. 3 minutes 45 on the clock. It's going to be about 4 or 5 serious team fights, and Silk Thread, with the patience they executed from that last ultimate battle, does still have the Pharaoh Rocket Barrage, so that could help a lot, but Skyfoxes still has a chance to fire back with the Blizzard of their own. So who's going to hit first and who's going to hit harder?
You see the rockets coming out just before the Discord, instantly placed by Mudkip to reply. No kills going in favor of that Rocket Barrage, with Derek nearing the Dragon Strike, using it in the back. The swap now onto the McCree play is relevant to try and push this back to Flashbang for crowd control, but Derek with that Dragon Strike doing another follow-up onto Crusade. The Flux trying to hold back from Skyfoxes as Dr. Phil Gaming has to reset again with asking, now transitioning back to the Widow.
Yeah, but now Skyfoxes has the Transcendence, so that's going to help a little bit to mitigate some of the tools that Dr. Phil Gaming is coming back with, but is it going to be enough for the Gravitic Flux? Transcendence can only heal the damage that's been done, not just taking people up in the air and smacking them back down. So especially now that Dr. Phil Gaming has made yet another switch up here. Silk Thread just showing us so much of their versatile hero pool, also going back over to the Reaper.
It has gained multiple value before. Isn't gonna right now, as Mudkip says, I'm sorry, friend. I've got some lovely harmony for you to take down the Death himself with 2 minutes and 20 seconds. Speedily still holding on to this Blizzard, which is great transitioning into these final fights.
Ultimate tracking has been so on point for both of these teams that Dr. Phil Gaming must know that the Blizzard is coming.
Flux lifting multiple members, the impact going to be mitigated by that defense matrix, but can't seem to do anything here as it's just this Transcendence forced out by Mudkip. Numbers pressing on to Skyfoxes. It will be the Blizzard to counter what we were saying speedily with a double kill by Mudkip. That Zen fragging out here with 1 minute and 45 seconds, with Silk Threads trying to just near a Death Blossom.
Hardblue tried so hard, but actually couldn't eat the Blizzard there. It was just like a millimeter off. That was such good tracking coming out from Dr. Phil Gaming. But now we're down to 1.5 minutes. Derek's switching up the Blizzard as well. This is the end game for Dr. Phil Gaming. If they can't get through with the ultimates that they have, then they work up to a Blizzard that Skyfoxes isn't going to have an answer for.
Asking with a Dragon Strike available, multiple for tanks as well. Salty gonna lead in with it as there is no ability to mitigate that fall damage at the current time, with a great turning point again. 1:10, a cleanup just repeatedly, and this corner has caused so many problems for multiple teams in this map.
I'm going to be looking at Mikey right now for Skyfoxes. If they want to continue to keep Dr. Phil Gaming at bay, how are they going to use the Oversupply here? You know, are they going to use it to line up for an accretion? Or are they going to use it to really line up for asking to hit this Dragon Strike? There's a couple of ways.
Now Supercharger leading in by Skyfoxes, hoping for an early pick to stagger this timeout even further. Ace of Spades barely alive as Dragon Strike comes through. Silver and will be taken out by Crusade as the Immortality Field will be active. Great Blizzard to isolate the few members remaining. Ace of Spades on the front dropping and committing that Supercharger. They have to for Dr. Phil Gaming, but the accretion comes out to try and even the score. The respawn advantage still in favor of Skyfoxes as Dr. Phil is in a desperation play with the Supercharger to deal enough to come back.
Gonna be able to come back here, but they're walking into the amplification matrix coming in from Skyfox's. Immortality Field has to be placed now.
Now that moment, you are correct. The amplification matrix in the back trying to get some damage onto that Discord, and Arisa will help with Mudkip fragging out some damage again. Overtime commencing, few meters left to go for Dr. Phil Gaming to try and press on as Mudkip has the Transcendence going to drop it to make sure the survival is there. Speedily getting the triple on the May. The Ice Queen itself will be able to finish without completion. Round 1 over.
Round 1 may be over, but this was, again, a valiant effort coming through from Dr. Phil Gaming. That's a long distance to travel with that cart, but it's kind of like what we said. The momentum stops, and then how do you get it back? So I think we're seeing Dr. Phil Gaming struggle with the how do you get it back part, but that was still a really great push coming in from Dr. Phil Gaming, and they still have the opportunity to just hold Skyfoxes.
Oh, totally. And now that we've got Dr. Phil Gaming on the defensive position, Skyfox is coming out. We saw an interesting strat by Dr. Phil Gaming. We haven't seen it too much, but both times that Bastion Symmetra play has come out, it has not prevailed. A lot of that now is very mainstream knowledge, typically on this map when coming out from the attacking side, so the responsiveness is very high. I would not see Skyfoxes attempt anything like this because of how well they've been playing synergistically amongst each other, and that was one of the things we talked about going into this, at how well you have Skyfoxes playing as a unit. Dr. Phil Gaming has caught up in this, working as a unit, but it's still just a little bit under par, which is, I think, is really causing some separation in this type of critical map where Skyfoxes is looking for that match point.
Definitely looking for it, the match point. They want to further themselves and also get that practice in before the next season of Contenders. And I think they're doing a good job of that right here, of really meeting those goals. But Dr. Phil Gaming coming out on the defense with Silk Thread on the Pharah. Ooh. This could work out really well for Dr. Phil Gaming. I think that the way that Silk Thread has been playing this Pharah has been immaculate here, recognizing that they could take out the big threats with the full pocket from Red Shell.
Now that shield blocking a lot from, again, that Pharah play. Silk Thread getting taken down by Asking. The Storm Arrows. Rez has to be forced early. Red Shell managing to get it out just in time as the Immortality Field placed, try and sustain just around that statue. Will force a regroup. Ace getting a nice pick on Asking. And already 30 seconds off the clock.
30 seconds off the clock. 3.5 to go. Dr. Phil Gaming already working up to so much there because Derek, oh my goodness, we're watching the Pharah damage right now, but you should also be looking out for Derek. They're gonna have the Dragon Strike, and from where Skyfoxes wants to rotate to, I'm not sure they're expecting that Derek has this Dragon Strike up and running already.
Taking this high ground position. We saw it earlier, using the Mei to try and transition over that gap. Not too sure if it's going to yield just as much value, but the Amplification Matrix is there with the Dragon Strike forcing the shift to the side, leading an open opportunity for Dr. Phil Gaming to get a nice pick potential, but Crusade doing a great responsiveness onto Ace of Spades. But what a res coming out just in time. Nobody to contest it. Just resetting on this point with 2 minutes and 35 seconds. And again, Dr. Phil Gaming really working as a unit right now.
I mean, Red Shell's one of the best. You talk about the Resurrects. Red Shell's had to go for a couple of them in the last couple of seconds, but oh man, every single time it's just bolstered the ability for Dr. Phil Gaming to really contest and defend off Skyfoxes from this point A. But what I'm worried about is the next rotation of ultimates we're going to see from Dr. Phil Gaming. Mudkip has a Transcendence online, but what is Mudkip going to use his Transcendence for? Are they going to use it a little bit aggressively?
Yep, trying to lead in here with that Amplification Matrix from the defensive side, looking to break down any sort of frontline defenses, just running the clock. Having to now stabilize here. Skyfox is taking so much damage. Healers now having both ultimates alive. Dragon Strike in the back, looking to get the pick onto the Orisa. Can't seem to do so. Ace of Spades survives and will now take down Silk Threads. Red's gonna be forced out. Red Shell getting it, but now loses the res potential for Ace of Spades as the Transcendence will be forced from Mudkip to try and claim this, and instantly the rockets come raining. You have the reply by Speedily, and this point is now going to be completely taken by Skyfoxes and transition into this payload phase.
Wait a minute, though. The Gravitic and the Dragon Strike
will manage to get some value. The Supercharger is there, though, to ensure it, making a complete 3 minute and 30 second to work with down the streets phase. But with how quickly Dr. Phil Gaming is coming back, there is just a lot of return.
Oh my gosh, if Derek had just gotten those picks like a second earlier, because they were able to clean up, that might have been a recontest ability there for Dr. Phil Gaming, but now we're going to see Asking switch back over to the Widowmaker for the streets phase of King's Row, where those sight lines are going to mean absolutely everything. Is Dr. Phil Gaming ready for this? They have Silk Thread off of the Pharah, back onto the Doomfist, and again, we're just seeing a beautiful rotation of heroes coming out from that skilled DPS player on the side of Dr. Phil Gaming.
Doob going in early. The Discord quickly placed onto him to make sure that there is no further aggression. The Immortality Field around the corner. Freeze on to the front line. And what a dominant play. Pummeling around that corner, Dr. Phil Gaming. Skyfox with a team kill and going to quickly move to this next checkpoint.
We see some high-level Baptiste players utilize that ultimate to, for lack of a better word, a selfish reason, to be able to put that window right in front of them. But that was a beautiful example of how that window of opportunity can work for an entire team. That was huge.
Now, a few meters to go, just over 1. Halt's going to pull the few members out in the open for Skyfoxes. Mudkip gaining some huge value again on the Zenyatta. That Discord really gaining so much opportunity for Skyfoxes with the Halt synergy from the Orisa, allowing this to reach the next checkpoint with 3 minutes and 30 seconds to still push to the end.
Skyfoxes are getting a little bit aggressive here, but opt to just stick as a unit and play together as one. Dr. Phil Gaming making a second iteration, a second attempt here at this composition where the Pharmacy duo is back out and the Dragon Strike is at the ready. Dr. Phil Gaming has one last chance before Skyfoxes take the match point.
Leading with the strike, but Flux in the back, knocking down multiple members. The Blizzard coming out by Speedily, using it once before in this very position on the defense, now on the offense, gaining some value as Asking continues to press forward with Salty, looking for the pick in the back line onto the Baptiste from Dr. Phil Gaming. Does go down, just a moment away from completing this. With now under 2 meters to go, Crusade dealing some damage, cleaning up the point, and that's going to be it. Completion as Skyfoxes takes the win over Dr. Phil Gaming.
What a battle of the behemoths here. If we had just had a chance to see them in action with one more map, I feel like Dr. Phil Gaming continued to get closer and closer to finding a response, an answer to the team of Skyfoxes, but this sometimes it's just how the cookie crumbles.
It really is. I'd love some milk with that cookie that crumbles. But as we move forward, we've got Skyfoxes breaking through this bracket, continuing to move forward. Dr. Phil Gaming, unfortunately eliminated, but still leaving some stellar gameplay behind, as there is some major votes going in favor of that 9 immortality field defensive usage. With us now looking for some more matches to come. We have got a lot for you, friends, and as we've got it shown so far, it will be Jeffrons versus Powerhouse coming up shortly, and we're going to bring you the action very soon. So get that quick drink of water, grab some snacks. I know we have between the games ourselves, and we'll be bringing you more action right away.